Good morning. Welcome to another rainy, unseasonally cool morning in Mildura, and to more readings from Walking Slowly Downhill, the name of the walking project I undertook in 2015, walking along the Murray River from source to mouth. The walk was undertaken as a stranger, which is what I am, and as a beginner, which is also what I am, and towards the end as an initiate of that experience, probably no longer holds. But the gathered writings that I undertook each day were collected under the title Walking Slowly Downhill, and today I'm reading from the 44th day, Millich Road, Pyap to Smith Road. This morning I again walked past endless vineyards and almond plantations. At first the wind is chilly, but as soon as the sun climbs into the sky a little, it gets warmer. There's just the ribbon of asphalt, accompanied by wide red earth tracks on both sides of the road. Then the endless rows of vines, orange and almond trees, interrupted only once by an olive grove, and then by 12 or so thriving grapefruit trees that have been planted right by the roadside. I see a plump yellow one that's fallen right under the 7th tree, and I stoop very low under its branches to reach it. It's covered by red earth, so I wash it under the icy water bubbling from a disconnected sprinkler. The cold fruit inside, the peel, feels delicious in my dry mouth. It's only a small grapefruit, but the ecstatic eating of it seems to take hours. I notice as I walk past that all the names of the vineyard owners seem to be German, proudly stamped on various signs that line the entrance to each property. Lindner, Henschke, Baric, Schachter, Seidel, and so on. I wonder how the ones who came first managed to work the land when the only resource they had was the water. I'm suddenly thirsty. I stop and squeeze the plastic bottle with my hand so that the water pours abundantly into my mouth. I think of all the things in my life that need urgent attention. There seem to be so many, and here I am walking little-known roads in South Australia's Riverland. Today marks exactly 2 months since my mother passed away. Later in the afternoon, after I return from the walk, I carry a chair to the river and sit as close to the bank as I can get. Then I watch its flow. A kangaroo hops along the low clay cliffs on the other side, looking for an opportunity to come to the water to drink. I call my sister. "45th day, Smith Road to Sturt Highway." Before I begin to walk this morning, I tell Steve about the bounding creature I saw the other day, fleeing from me as I trekked through some saltbush on the side of a vineyard. I'd forgotten about it. Bigger than a fox, heavy and striped, with squat face and short ears and a long, thick tail, it bounded away from me into the vineyards. Foxes trot, dogs run. This creature bounded, broad-chested and sure, into the greenness. Was it a vision? I'm not sure. But I yelled at it as it suddenly leapt from its hiding place a few meters from me. The yell is still somewhere in my throat. And then a big white Maremma dog runs straight up to me this morning, barking furiously, warning me that I'm trespassing on what he or she believes is his or her territory. I speak to him in Italian, yell angrily, letting him know in no uncertain manner that I'm moving through international waters on the public side of the road. He or she finally relents, but keeps barking until I'm out of sight. I keep swearing until he's out of sight, in Tuscan dialect, for good measure, because I'm sure he or she is able to remember somewhere deep inside exactly what it is that I'm saying to him about the nature of his mother. And then I decide to stop at the Murok shop right on the western banks of the river for a treat, and I buy myself an orange juice. The squat, red-bearded shopkeeper asks me what I want, and I tell him good-naturedly that the lady next to me was first. I know that, he snarls. So, he inquires. I smile and point to the juice, pay up, and wish him a good day. The juice is good. It's just one of those mornings. This afternoon, Mark calls. It's good to hear his voice, hear him describe how deeply he appreciated on his recent trip the Japanese gift of being able to combine the everyday and the spiritual so effortlessly. Something in his voice makes me slow down, reminds me of who I am. This morning as I walk, I think of all the Kunsthalle in the world, celebrated or less so, filled to the brim with effort and focus. I also think of all the dusty roads I've journeyed down so far, brimming with effort of a different kind from its very edges, deep into the land. As a young man, I dreamt of one day making something that would create a deep disquiet in others, something that would prove impossible to transmute into the language of the day or even be placed in one's memory. The risk with making a work like that, I thought at the time and still think now, is that it would be so easily missed, its visibility rendered so fugitive to most by the very illegibility art must possess as the key component of its challenging nature. As I think this, I push one foot in front of the other, and the rhythm I create suggests a beat filled by the words, no risk, no risk, no risk, no risk, no risk. I smile to myself. There's certainly no risk in such conservative thinking. One may argue that it's simply necessary, strictly a safety device, to ensure that the legibility of such a work is available only to those who innately understand its alphabet, its syntax. And this has nothing to do with education, knowledge, or experience. Understanding this strange alphabet simply requires a degree of heartfulness and a willingness to flow out into whatever can receive. Meister Eckhart suggests that we truly come alive only we're able to graciously give away whatever we've received. I think of all the endless orange groves I walked by in the last month, the almond trees, the olives, lemons, and vines, their roots and leaves sucking in the gifts of sunlight and water that then, transmuted, flow out into each fruit. I turn and look at what's around me. All is abounding with gifts. Strange fleeing animals, irritable shopkeepers, barking Maremma dogs, cold orange juice, endless expanses of growing things, all flowing over me like a river. All I have to do is find a way to flow back, out, into whatever of it can receive me. So, I keep walking. There's something to be said for maintaining an activity that can seemingly be so thankless, and then you stop and consider the nature of thanklessness. And it's a very shallow interaction, engagement with what's around you. Until tomorrow.